Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amelia, and today we're doing just like a little sit-down talk video, which I feel like I haven't done in a really long time. So that is exciting, but we are of course going to be talking about my autumn TBR. Now, on my list I have a mix of like thematic autumn-y type reads and then just like general things that I want to read, either because I kind of feel like they're on theme or just because like library holds are coming in, which happens. I always feel like autumn is such a good time for reading because when the summer is like, oh, it's warm, you feel like you should be outside, but as soon as it starts to get a little bit chilly, it's like I have an excuse to cuddle up on the couch and read a good book, maybe have coffee, tea, assorted warm beverages. I love a warm beverage. And yeah, in the last couple of months, have been in a bit of a, I don't know if I'd call it a reading slump, but I've just been doing other things. So I'm looking forward to getting fully back into it for the autumn season. And of course, autumn is not just the like September, October, November. It goes into December too. December never feels like autumn, but it is. So, you know, I think I have 10 books on my list, 2 of which are audiobooks, and that should be totally doable. So, I will start with 3 that I don't have physically there. I have them on library holds, but number 1 is Interview with the Vampire by Anne Rice. This is, of course, a very, like, classic, pretty sure it's a classic, or just, I mean, obviously classic's not a genre, but, like, count as a classic sort of autumn-y tale, and I will read for you what my library has to say about it. It describes it as, here are the confessions of a vampire. Hypnotic, shocking, and chillingly sensual, this is a novel of mesmerizing beauty and astonishing force, a story of danger and flight, of love and loss, of suspense and resolution, and of the extraordinary power of the senses. It is a novel only Anne Rice could write, which I feel like that kind of description sounds like the perfect description for like a good vampire book to me. Like, it needs to be a little bit dangerous but a little bit sexy. I feel like that's kind of what vampire books, or like what vampires, like the pinnacle of vampire is to me. I don't know why, but yeah. So Interview with the Vampire, I have that one on hold. I believe it is coming in soonish, so I want to probably feature most of these in my October and November reading vlogs, but potentially maybe a little bit of September. We shall see. So you'll have to keep an eye out for those videos if you're interested in seeing me actually read the books that I'm talking about here. Next we have Empire of the Damned by J. Kristoff. Now I of course read Empire of the Vampire. Did I say Empire of the Vampire? Empire of the Damned is the next one, the one I'm going to read. But I did read this one earlier this year as well. I enjoyed it, but I decided not to buy the second book, and I just got it from the library. It's a very kind of, I guess, like gritty, grimdark type of vampire book. Definitely more modern in tone, and it's essentially like the vampires, there's been like a volcanic eruption or whatever, and we are in volcanic winter, so the vampires can come out during the day and they've like taken over the world, or following the last member, or one of the last members of this holy brotherhood that like fights vampires, and he's telling the story, and it is interesting, definitely dark. It does have a little bit of the like, no, it doesn't really have the sexy vampire thing going on. Like, it does in some aspects, but they're definitely much more monstrous, I would say. But yeah, it will be fun to read the next one. I didn't think I needed to own it, but I do think it will be fun to read, especially in the spooky season. And if you are thinking about buying them, the trade paperbacks are floppiness approved. Alright, and then I have one more vampire book for my list. Definitely more vampire books than I've ever read in previous years. I've never really purposefully read like spooky or vampire books for the season, so it's exciting to be getting more into the spooky mood. So the last one is Carmilla by J. Sheridan LeFanu. And it is described by my library as, got a hankering for top-notch gothic horror? Lose yourself, oh my god, I cannot speak today, in J. Sheridan's Camilla, a titillating tale that centers on a lady-loving vampire who terrorizes an unsuspecting family in 19th century Austria. Experts of the genre say that this novel exerted a significant influence on Bram Stoker while he was preparing to write Dracula. Also, I've never read Dracula, so maybe I'm gonna just like put a little pin in that and say I may try to also read that. But Carmilla is the one that I'm like specifically have on hold, excited to read. It's interesting how often the books that are written by women are not talked about nearly as much as the ones written by men. So, for example, Dracula. And of course, this one also is a lesbian lady vampire. So, I feel like that adds an extra interesting dimension to the story, and I am very excited to get to that one. I think all of my holds are going to come in at a pretty good time for it to be peak spooky reading season. Alright, and the final thing that I have that I think is like specifically on season, is an Indigenous dark fiction anthology, Never Whistle at Night. I started reading this one last year. I think I'm probably around halfway through. I appear to have taken out my bookmark, so I'll have to check in my pages tracker. But it is what it says on the cover. It's a collection of different sort of dark fiction stories by Indigenous authors from all over North America, I believe. And I enjoyed the first half so far. I feel like I was expecting to be more creeped out than I actually have been so far. We shall see as I finish it. And I don't want to say too much about it because they are short stories, so if you say kind of anything, you spoil them. But it is such a beautiful cover, and I'm hoping to finish it. I don't think this should be too much of a problem. Alright, then we have two books that I feel like are tangentially connected, because I think so. It's more of a vibe thing than anything else, and those are Return of the King. If you have seen my August and September, because it was divided across both, reading vlogs, you will have known that I was reading Two Towers, which I finished, and it took me a long time because I was doing all this like annotating. I just also wasn't like super in the mood for it all the time. But I do want to complete my Lord of the Rings reread this year, so I, of course, need to read the last one. At autumn, though there is technically like a week of true winter between the end of autumn and the start of the new year, autumn is definitely like the last season of the year, you know? And I feel like finishing trilogies or finishing series in that season just like makes thematic sense, especially with Return of the King. I don't know, it just has autumn energy, I guess. I don't know how to describe that. Like, Fellowship definitely gives me kind of spring vibes. Two Towers is summer. And this is definitely fall. The Hobbit, I don't know. I feel like The Hobbit also kind of has spring vibes, but like because it's a children's story, it makes me think of winter. I don't know why. Just like reading to your kids in winter seems thematically appropriate. But I'm gonna annotate this one as well, and I think I have a lot of blue tabs, so it should be fun to pick those out. That is Return of the King. And then I also have another series reread that I want to finish before the end of the year. Similar concepts where ending the series at the end of the year feels thematically appropriate. And I don't really remember the main season that this takes place in, if there is one specifically. But Farseer just overall gives me kind of autumn energy. And this one is also blue. So we're going to be getting a lot of use out of the blue tabs. And I also want to annotate this one. I have been annotating the others. And because these are like special editions, I haven't wanted to write in them. So I've been using like these transparent sticky notes and stuff. So I'm going to have to find those. I also don't think I ever finished like putting in, like this is also like transparent tape that you can take out. I didn't write in these at all. I don't think I finished putting that stuff in the last one. So I'm going to have to do that at some point. But yes, I would like to finish my reread of this. I don't think I started it this year. I think I started it last year. But still, I would like to get some of these rereads wrapped up so I can clear up the brain space. And then finally, I have 3 things on my library hold and one book that I pre-ordered that are all going to come in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to put those on my list as well. First we have Sunrise on the Reaping. I think I've actually delayed this hold several times. I just haven't been excited to read it. I have heard that it is maybe not up to the standard of the other ones, especially the initial trilogy, but I feel like it will be a relatively quick read, so I want to make time for it at some point. We also have Doppelganger by Naomi Klein. This one I'm getting as an audiobook, and honestly I do not remember at all what it was supposed to be about. Next up, I have Everything is Tuberculosis by John Green. Is it John or Hank? I think it's John. Pretty sure it's about tuberculosis. It's also an audiobook. It's not too long, so that should be an easy one to get to. Although I have not been listening to any audiobooks recently because, and I've talked about this a little bit in I think my September reading vlog, but my friends and I started a D&D group, so I was like, oh, I should do some background research. And so I've been obsessively listening to, what is it called? It's called Worlds Beyond Number. It's a D&D podcast. Very well done. The sound design is amazing, and it is with Brendan Lee Mulligan, who's like one of the kind of big DMs in the D&D content space. And I'm on episode 31. I think it's like 55 or 54 or something. So yeah, I have not been listening to any audiobooks because I've been listening to that. But I feel like it is still like listening to a book almost, because it is like a story. I feel like I want to put it in my reading journal somehow, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to do that. So yeah, I'm working my way through that, but I also know the next Critical Role season, which is another like D&D thing, is starting very soon, and I'm probably going to, I haven't listened to their backlog, but I think I'm going to like jump in at the start of the new season and maybe try to catch up. I don't know. We'll see. It takes a long time. They have a lot of episodes, but that is a bit tangential. It's not a book. Getting distracted. So the final book I have on my list is Dungeon Crawler Carl book 7. I read the first, I don't know if you can see them, 6 all this year, and this one is coming out like a week from when I record this. I think probably already out by the time that I release this. I can't remember what it's called. I should look it up. It is called This Inevitable Ruin. So that will be coming out soon, and I'm probably going to read that pretty much as soon as I get it, as long as I finish reading my current book, which is Mists of Avalon. So I think, yeah, that is everything on my list. Now, I'm not the most like strict about TBRs. I kind of tend to mood read more than anything else, although some of them being library holds does tend to help, because I'm like, okay, if I want to read it this season, I pretty much got to read it like when the hold comes in, so that I'm not waiting too long. But I think that pretty much concludes everything that I wanted to talk about. So definitely let me know in the comments if you were going to read any of the books that I'm going to read, or just what your favorite autumn-y books are. So thank you so much for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.